Good morning, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Welsh Ryan Arena here in Evanston, Illinois, following Purdue's 92-88 overtime loss to Northwestern. This is your rap video. It is brought to you by our friends at Purdue Club Hotel. As I've always said, if there was a Purdue Club Hotel in Evanston, Illinois, and why isn't there? That's where I'd be staying tonight. But alas, there is not. So Purdue's knocked out of the ranks of the unbeaten. Likely knocked out of the number one perch in the polls for whatever that's worth. Kind of the same as it ever was type of story here for Purdue. This was not the same game as last year. It wasn't even close. The referees did a fine job in this game, whereas they absolutely robbed Purdue last season. But Purdue did itself wrong in this game. As I've said after every game, all of which Purdue won, the turnovers were going to be Purdue's issue. They were a time bomb kind of waiting to go off here. And the combination of Purdue's 17, that alone was the difference in this game. And then Northwestern only turning it over 3 times is a credit to Northwestern, but also an indictment of Purdue's inability to be disruptive defensively and ability to really get in Northwestern's way all that much from a defensive perspective. And that's the combination of those two things is just really disappointing for Purdue. The turnovers were obviously the difference in this game. Northwestern gets 20 points off of them. Lord only knows how many points Purdue would have gotten off of its own possessions had it not frittered away 20 of them or 17 of them. You just get 4 more possessions, 5 more possessions. This is obviously a different game. Not to mention the 20 points Northwestern gets the other way. Just lots of post turnovers for Purdue for the second year in a row at Northwestern. Purdue knows what's coming, and they just are kind of. I'll have to go back and watch to see how they all exactly went down, but seemed like a lot of stuff where Northwestern jumped the entry or high-pointed the entry pass, as was the case with the Mason Gillis turnover there late in regulation, I think it was, when Purdue was going high-low, and just some pass and catch stuff. Just Purdue's not catching the ball great. Late in regulation, I think Braden Smith gets bumped and ends up taking a little bunny hop that gets called for traveling. Kind of was what it was, but it added up to a disappointing defeat for Purdue. You can look at this box score and just, if you're Purdue, you want to punch yourself in the face. You out-rebound them 52-27. You score 88 points, right? And you don't win this game. And that's not, from their perspective, that's not cool. You don't shoot great. You get in that position now where after Purdue has shot the ball really well from three-point range, up to this point, you knew that day was coming where they were going to have to play without being able to make threes. And sure enough, after I think Purdue was like 4 of 6 to start the game or something like that, it went dry. And Purdue ends up 5 of 19. That was disappointing. Northwestern's not a great shooting team, but as tends to happen when you're playing on someone else's home floor, they become a better shooting team than they probably actually are. They're 10 for 20. They make all the big ones. That's how it goes. Purdue, I think, is a better foul shooting team than it is showing. And the percentages look good. They shot 75.6% in this game. But, with three-point shooting, foul shooting, I think it's not just about final percentages. It's about situational shooting specific to moments in games. And I thought there was a stretch there where Purdue split like 4 straight pairs of one-and-ones or whatever it was, and just couldn't get 2 of 2 at the line when it just needed to build out its lead a little bit. And Purdue started really well from three-point range and then went dry. And had they just spread it out a little bit more, made 1 or 2 more in the second half or something like that, this is probably a different game. But that's not the way basketball works, obviously. And it's not like it's a strategic failing when somebody misses a shot or misses a free throw. It's just this wasn't Purdue's night to make the shots it needed when it needed them. That plus the turnovers was just recipe for defeat here. On top of the fact that Purdue, I think has been okay defensively this season. I think they've largely done a pretty good job making people score on shots they're willing to live with. Tonight was a malfunction of the highest order. I just think, Boo Buie is not Allen Iverson. Boo Buie is a good player. Again, adults playing against kids, as is the nature of college basketball nowadays. But even if, Boo Buie is 5 years older than a guy guarding him, it's not. That doesn't mean Purdue can't hold him to 28 points instead of 31 points. They just had no answer for him. That was a team defensive issue. That was an individual defensive issue. They had guys getting hunted in switches and, things like that. And I'll go back and watch the film and kind of dissect that a little bit more tomorrow or sometime this weekend. But, Matt Painter was very pointed in saying they got to have guys that are not just offensive players but also defensive players. And that resonated with me as a little bit of an indictment of the two sophomore guards. I don't know that for a fact. Again, I'll go back and watch tomorrow. I know they got Fletcher Lawyer in some switches, and that's not an ideal situation for him, nor has it ever been for that position at Purdue. Purdue's always had a guy out there who's maybe not the quickest-footed guy, who's out there for offense, who people go after sometimes. But Purdue as a team has to be better than this defensively, that has to start now. This wasn't a situation where, Purdue just could outscore Northwestern. They had to stop them enough to win this game, and you can't just rely on your offense when you're playing on the road in the Big Ten and then put yourself completely at the mercy of the fickleness of three-point shooting, as, Purdue fell victim to here tonight. You got to be able to get stops. You got to be able to take care of the basketball. This is fundamental, basic stuff, and it's the stuff that Purdue has spent the whole offseason talking about. And this is kind of a same old type of deal for Purdue. Every year for the last few, there's been that game around this time of year. Maybe last year it was January. I can't remember. My last year was a blur. But there's that game where Purdue comes in riding high after, blowing away a non-conference schedule, whatever it was, and then you get the Big Ten play where every possession matters more, and they're just not ready to take care of the basketball. They're just not ready to defend, whatever it might be. And this needs to be the wake-up call of all wake-up calls. And I don't know how to interpret some of the body language after the game from a few of Purdue's players. It was almost like a quiet confidence, like, yeah, we're fine. But it also could have come off as, it's just one loss kind of thing. But Purdue's got to get better from this. And, I've been saying all along, even while everybody was jumping on the number one in the country bandwagon, that this team is still a little bit of a work in progress. They stand to get better. I think part of that is Lance Jones still kind of fitting in a little bit offensively, understanding maybe what's a good shot for Purdue in this situation, that situation, whatever it might be. But also, Purdue becoming a little bit better defensively, getting better guard play at the end of games. I think that was a little bit of an issue here that I thought was resolved, but really kind of showed up a little bit here at Northwestern. Once again, they're playing adults, and Purdue's still playing kids. I keep bringing that up because I hate the COVID year, and it's my personal vendetta to rip the COVID year whenever possible. I know Purdue's benefited from it, but that's not my concern. It's just I don't like watching 24 and 25-year-olds play college basketball and be their team's best players. So sue me. But no, Purdue just played well enough to win in one phase of the game, not in the other, and turned the ball over too much. And it was coming. The turnovers in Maui could have swung any of those three games. The live ball turnovers against Gonzaga were the reason that game wasn't more one-sided than it turned out to be. And then there were just too many turnovers against Tennessee and against Marquette. Now, when I say too many, really like more than 6, 7, 8 is what I'd consider to be too many. But when you have 17, that's just not the way to win in the Big Ten. And if Purdue does this again, they will lose. It almost doesn't matter who they're playing against. That's probably overstatement. If they're playing against Minnesota, they'll probably get away with it. But on the road in a game like this, Northwestern's okay. They're not particularly good. They're okay. But when you come on the road, things are a little bit different. Purdue just was not good enough tonight, taking care of the basketball, making shots, obviously, but then also defensively. And a couple of those things can get cleaned up. They can be more detail-oriented defensively. They can be more detailed with their offensive execution, that they don't turn the ball over as much as they did. Just play more under control, things like that. But as I've said like 8 times now, as I'm trying to wrap this up, Purdue's got to get better than this. Purdue's got to be better than this. It would be horrific for Purdue to have a team like this with a Big Ten this lackluster and not win the league. And I know one game is only one game, and oftentimes you look back at a game like this and it's a punchline, but it's still a game, and every game matters. And now Purdue has to make one up because it kind of literally let one get away here at Northwestern. So that's what I got, everybody. So from Welsh-Ryan Arena, the House of Horrors for Purdue that it is, this is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. And thank you once again to the Purdue Union Club Hotel for your support. As always, we appreciate it very much. And I will talk to you guys again Monday after Purdue plays Iowa, a game it has to have. Has to have. You cannot go 0-2 in the Big Ten and lose a home game in December. So that's it. See ya.